when I wonder, is it time for us to as long-standing and great as we see some of the traditions that we have in our society, is it time to rethink some of them, because they actually have, as much as they have, like, the goody side attached to them, they kind of sometimes have an ugly flip side as to how it damages society at large.
I think you're right, and also I think the answer to the question, do we need to rethink our traditions? I think the answer is yes, always, everywhere, anytime. We always should rethink our traditions. Tradition in itself doesn't mean it's right, or is good, or is beneficial. It just means it had happened before, often, to the point that we don't have to think about it anymore. And that's the danger. When you don't have to think about it anymore, you don't have to think whether it's relevant still, whether it has an effect in others, that's what becomes a problem. So we always have to reevaluate that question at the end, a three question, what should I do? That what should I do is not read this and do this all the time. The answer is different any time. So you have to ask the question in any circumstances, and tradition is never the answer. Never say, I do this because others did it in the past. No, might not be wrong or relevant. For instance, you mentioned this tradition of Christmas and these holidays, they become more than Christmas. When that started, that didn't happen when we were in Africa, before we moved away from Africa. Why didn't it happen? Because there was no need to. There were no 4 seasons. We live in a tropical world. The reason of Christmas is the solstice, winter solstice, is have something nice to do in a very dark time. We moved away from Africa, we moved north, and suddenly we found the darkness of winter we never experienced before. And we had to fight to survive. And then we started killing more animals probably than we needed to, because we needed to keep them for winter. And that problem of overkilling started to be there because we were in the wrong environment. We moved away from home into other places. And then it becomes so gloomy that we make a big feast to compensate for that. And from that feast, we have all the celebrations that happen in winter solstice. So because we left Africa, we have this. So once you understand this, then you can turn it around and say, okay, but now I have electricity. The darkness of winter is now not the same, but push a button and it's no longer dark. So I don't have to make that big celebration to compensate the gloominess of the world, because I have now technology that gives me as much light and as much things to do during winter than some. So when you start to really understand why you did it in the first place, you might realize that you don't need it anymore. But the Christmas in reality now is a commercial thing. And why is it a commercial thing? Because we live in a commercial world. And why we live in a commercial world? Because we live in a capitalist world. So it's very difficult to stop that tradition without going to the roots of the commercialism and capitalism. If we remove Christmas, it will appear again in June somewhere in another form if we still want to buy products. So therefore, removing this tradition is something easy to think about, almost impossible to do. You just need to evolve with them rather than remove them and see, okay, what's the next? So again, if we in case of veganism, we try to build a vegan world. A vegan world is a less consumerist world, it's a less destructive world. It's a world where perhaps all these things are not needed anymore. Not because we deliberately go for eliminating them, because they're not interested at all anymore in that ahimsa society that tries to find balance and respect nature. It might be other celebrations that we do at a time. The celebration of the day that we stop having agriculture, killing any animals, or things like that, and that's another time of the year. So we will evolve and still have a drive to compensate the darkness with light and to accumulate things. But if we are aware of the excesses of this impulse, we can control it. But at the moment, we're not there at all. We're still in this world where everything is dominated by either things that have nothing to do with the world around us, or by very, very complex artificial fiction realities that we build around our lives. And we think that that's the real world. We think that Christmas is real, and of course not. It's just our invention, and we forget the real things. They're still there, but really under this amount of falsity and false news and fake realities. But the true reality has never been eliminated. It's still there. Therefore, if we use that and make it grow, in my develop into the world we're looking for. The world. So I'm not pessimist at all. I think we are in a kind of a bad situation at the moment. Many things are right, but everything makes sense to me why they are like that. So therefore, I'm not lost in a world of hopeless. We're never gonna go out from this. No, we have an excess of population. We have an excess of commercialism. We have a destroying them. We know the reasons. We know why it's happening. Therefore, we can control it. And my hope is, the more people are aware, the more people get together, try to control it and to make it close to what we are designed as a biological creatures, but also as a societies to cope with in a harmonical way, and learn from all the cultures that found their own way to do it. Then that vegan world, for me, I use the vegan world, but you can use another word, is that world where everybody is equal, where everybody doesn't suffer, where everybody has anything of this that needs, and nobody has fewer other things that needs, and the harmony has been found between all creatures, sentient or otherwise, in this planet. So that world, whatever word you want to put it, is reachable. It might take many generations, but it's reachable. We just need to kind of aim for it, rather than think that, oh, it's far too long, far too far in the horizon. Let's forget, let's eat a burger. No, just aim for it. If we all aim for it a step at a time, we might get it.